Today we're going to talk about how to change over the weld wire on our weld machine. We'll be referring to the Lincoln machine today. So to start with, you should walk up to your machine. Everything should be neatly put away, cables wound up, your gas tank is capped off. So to start with, we'll unravel our cables. Go ahead and just hook up your work clamp to the table. We'll unwrap our weld gun. Be careful we don't trip over it. I'm going to set that here for now. And start with, we're going to have to change the wire over. So let's just say there's 045 wire in there now. We're going to change it to 035 wire. So to start with, you're going to want to disassemble your weld gun, take the nozzle off, and take your contact tip out. Before you take your contact tip out, make sure you clip the wire clean. Clip the wire clean, contact tip should come out nice and easy. Set that aside. We can hang up our weld gun, and then we'll come over here to the side of the machine, and we're going to open up the drive roller case. This will relieve the tension of the drive rollers, and we can start to roll up our spool of wire. As we're rolling up this spool of wire, be careful, hold on to the actual spool, so when that comes through, we don't want this spool to unravel. It'll create a mess and a lot of extra work. So as I'm rolling it up, I'm kind of holding the spool to make sure once it comes through, it doesn't unravel. There we go. So when you get through the end, pop it through one of the side holes and just twist it around so it does not unravel. At that point, you can take off this and your spool will come off. I'll set that aside. Let's see, then we have our guide rail. We'll have to take that out. We basically need to change out these 4 rollers. And we can just set that aside for now. And then the actual rollers are just press fit in there. Pull those all out. You can see that these are for 045 wire. We're going to take all 4 of them out. And then our changeover details are in here. So we have the 035 wire and 035 contact tip. 035, just press those on. And the Miller machine will be slightly different. They have both grooves for 035 and 045 on one roller, so all you need to do is take it out and basically flip it around, put it back on. Make sure they're all the way on. These are press fit. The Millers will be, they'll have a little cap on there. You have to give it a little quarter turn. And I'll go ahead and grab my 035 wire, making sure that it comes out from the bottom for this particular machine. We want the spool, the wire to come from the bottom and feed right through the drive rolls. As we load this, there's a hole in the spool. We want to make sure that pins on this drive roller here. Pin that, and we can put our cap back on. At that point, use your weld pliers. Take the new spool, clip it clean. We want the end of the wire clean when we push it through this cable. Go ahead and get it started. Holding on to the spool, making sure you don't unravel it. And you'll have to probably help guide it through. Once it's through, go ahead and feed it through a foot or two. That should hold it. Okay, and at that point we can put our guide rail back on. Making sure we don't pinch the wire, so double check that the wire is free floating there. Okay, guide rail's on. We can close this, push these rollers down, close our tensioning cover, and then the wire is is basically ready to jog through the cable. At this point, we can go ahead and power up the machine. Here's the on switch. We'll power that up. Give it a few seconds to boot. I'm going to wait to put the contact tip on until I feed the wire through. Here we go. So it's on. I'm going to use the Jog Control, which will feed the wire through without any current. So we could also use the trigger, but I don't like to use the trigger because if you're not paying attention, you pull the trigger, it's live. So if you're not paying attention, you're talking to somebody and the wire comes out, rolls up on the floor. As soon as it hits the table, it's going to arc. So let's use the Jog Control. All right, wire comes through. The end is still clipped clean, so we can just put our new contact tip on. Snug it up. Put your nozzle on. Clip your wire clean. Your wire's in, ready to go. We still need to hook up the gas. So when you come up to your machine, your tank should be capped off. Unless it was used in that same day, it may not be capped. But in this case, it's capped. At some point, you may have it hooked up to a regulator system, and we can talk about that at a later date. But come up to your tank, take the cap off. First thing we need to do, and I guess I'm going to just add this. If your tank sat for a long time, double check there's no bees in there, because that's happened to me multiple times. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me. Take the cap off. What you want to do is, it's called cracking. So you want to open the tank, make sure nobody's standing in your way, to clear any dust, debris out of those threads. So just give it a quick open and shut. Maybe a little more than that. Okay. And then you can kind of just make sure there's no dust, debris, spider webs, anything like that in there. Push it back over here so you can see. Grab your regulator. We can thread that in, make sure these threads are also clean. You shouldn't have to force this in there. You should be able to thread that all the way by hand, and then we'll take a wrench and just torque it down. So that's pretty well in there. I'll take a crescent wrench. Do not use a vice grips. That's just going to tear up the nut. So just give it a slight torque it down. Okay, and then we need to plug it into the wire feeder, and that's going to be on this side of the machine. So making sure the threads are clean, thread that in until it's snug. You can grab your wrench and just lightly torque it down. No need to get too carried away. At that point, we can come over here and turn our gas on. Don't stand directly in front of the regulator, and just open it nice and slow. Okay, one will give us how much is in the tank. The other one, we're going to set our flow rate. You can refer to your work procedure for the proper flow rate for the weld process you'll be doing. And then we have this switch over here that we use to jog the wire through. There's also a purge button. So that's going to go ahead and turn the gas on, and we can set our flow rate. So I'm just going to hold that, and I'm going to tighten this down to the proper flow rate. At this point also, you can kind of feel around and listen and make sure there's no leaks. Everything seems to be fine. I don't feel any gas coming out. I don't hear anything. So our gas is hooked up. Our wire is fed through. At this point, you refer to your work procedure for the proper settings. and adjust for the type of weld you're doing, type of wire, type of gas you're using. For this case, we're setting 11, and we're ready to weld from there. One side note, some safety topics before you get welding. You will need your gloves, of course, long sleeves, so make sure you have some type of a weld coat or long sleeves. Make sure it's nothing too nice, because it's most likely going to get some sparks on it. A weld cap, a beanie cap, or a baseball cap will work also. Protect your hair from spatter. You have your weld helmet, gloves, and you're ready to go. Refer to your work procedure from there.